For centuries, there's been this powerful story, this prophecy that's echoed through time. It's about a final, guided leader, an absolutely epic confrontation, and a world completely remade. In this explainer, we're going to journey deep into this ancient prophecy. We'll explore the story of the awaited Mahdi and the final, world-altering conflict that's been foretold. But before we dive into all the specifics, let's just zoom out for a second. From ancient floods to all the anxieties we have today, humanity seems to have this constant hope that in our absolute darkest hour, some kind of guide, a savior, is going to emerge and set things right. So why is this idea so universal? So how are we going to unpack a topic this massive? Well, we've broken it down into 6 key parts. We'll kick things off with that universal hope for a savior. Then we'll get to know the Mahdi himself. After that, we'll look at the foretold signs of his arrival, meet his arch-nemesis, the Sufyani, and walk through the epic final wars. And of course, we'll end with the question that's on everybody's mind: are any of these signs actually happening now? Yeah, this idea of a savior showing up right when things get bad, it's definitely not new. Think about it. Religious traditions tell us that during a time of great corruption, people prayed for a guide, and bam, Noah was sent. When idolatry came back, Abraham appeared. When the Israelites were enslaved, they prayed for a hero, and Moses arrived. This pattern, a guide showing up in a time of crisis, it's not just ancient history. It's like a theme woven right through the human story. And if you look at this, you'll see this idea is just incredibly widespread. It's not just one religion. In Hinduism, you've got the prophecy of the Kalki avatar, who shows up on a white horse to end the Age of Darkness. Buddhists are waiting for the Maitreya, who'll appear when the original teachings are forgotten. And of course, Jewish and Christian traditions are waiting for a Messiah. So it's pretty clear, this concept of a final redeemer isn't just one culture's idea. It's a shared human expectation. And that finally brings us to the central figure in Islamic end times prophecy, the Mahdi. The name itself is pretty telling. It means the rightly guided one. He's a leader who's predicted to show up at the end of time to fill the earth with justice, right after it's been completely filled with injustice.
Now, it's really important to get this. Not everyone agrees on this, even within Islamic scholarship. Some really big thinkers, like the poet Allama Iqbal and the historian Ibn Khaldun, they were skeptical. They kind of suggested that maybe this whole idea was borrowed from other traditions, to give people hope when things were politically awful. But the mainstream view in both Sunni and Shia traditions is that the prophecy is totally authentic, and it's rooted in a whole bunch of prophetic sayings, or hadith.
Okay, now take a look at this number, 313. Might seem totally random, right? But in this story, it is anything but. This number is huge. It's a throwback to one of the most important moments in all of Islamic history. So the prophecies say that the Mahdi's first Pledge of Allegiance will be given by exactly 313 companions. This is a direct echo of the 313 Muslims who fought at the Battle of Badr, a massive victory against all odds. So this number isn't just about how many people there are. It symbolizes this idea that a small, righteous, divinely guided group can beat a much, much bigger force. And these aren't just foot soldiers. They're described as this diverse group of commanders, scholars, and thinkers from all over the world. Super intelligent, strong, pious, totally unknown to the world, but highly, highly esteemed by God. So this all leads to the big question everyone always asks: when? Well, according to the prophecies, the Mahdi's arrival isn't going to just happen out of nowhere. It's supposed to be preceded by a whole series of dramatic signs. And for a lot of believers, these ancient predictions are starting to look, well, eerily familiar. So what signs are people pointing to? Well, they see a world just filled with injustice. They'll cite conflicts in Palestine, Syria, and Yemen. They point to our really specific prediction that chaos in Syria would come right before his arrival. Then there's the prophecy about a power struggle breaking out after an Arab king dies. And, on a global scale, they see this economic system totally dominated by interest, and a media landscape where it's almost impossible to tell the difference between truth and lies. But the road to justice is never easy. And just as the Mahdi is the foretold hero, there's a prophesied villain who has to rise first. After all, every great story needs a great villain, right? This figure is known as the Sufyani. He's described as a great fitna, which is a word that means more than just a trial. It's like a huge test, a temptation, a massive tribulation for the people. His entire reason for being in this epic story is to be a powerful enemy, specifically targeting the Mahdi and anyone who follows the Prophet's household. The traditions actually give us a pretty detailed profile of this guy. He's said to be a descendant of Abu Sufyan and Muawiyah, and that he'll emerge from Syria with backing from Western powers. He's supposed to be responsible for just immense bloodshed in Iraq and Syria. But the prophecies also predict his dramatic end. In this key event, his entire army is said to be miraculously swallowed by the earth as it's marching through the desert to find and fight the Mahdi. So the defeat of the Sophiani's army basically sets the stage for the final act, a series of major, world-changing wars. This is the foretold endgame, a sequence of conflicts that will completely reshape the geopolitical map as we know it. Okay, so the key thing to understand is that this isn't just one single battle. It's a whole global campaign. As you can see, it kicks off with the final defeat of the Sufyani. Then, the Mahdi's influence is said to expand east with a foretold military campaign in India. After that comes a really surprising twist, a temporary alliance with the Romans, which is often interpreted as the West, to fight some common enemy. But this alliance is super fragile, and when it breaks, it triggers a great betrayal and a final, massive war that ends with a huge symbolic victory, taking Constantinople. Let's look a little closer at this alliance, because the details here are just fascinating. So supposedly, the Mahdi's forces and the West will team up against a common enemy. But after they win, a fight breaks out when a Western soldier raises a cross and claims victory for Christianity. A Muslim soldier responds, saying the victory belongs to God alone. And that one act, that one moment, shatters the treaty and ignites the final Great War. And that brings us to Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, a city with immense symbolic importance. There's a famous hadith that says, "You will surely conquer Constantinople. What a wonderful leader will he be, and what a wonderful army will that army be." Now, some people argue this already happened back in 1453, but others believe it's talking about this final conquest, one that happens without a single weapon being used. The city is said to be taken by the sheer power of the army's cries of Allahu Akbar. But just as the Mahdi's forces are celebrating their victory in Constantinople, the ultimate plot twist happens. A rumor starts spreading like wildfire, a cry that a new and far, far more dangerous enemy has emerged. The Dajjal, the Antichrist, has appeared. The greatest trial has only just begun. Okay, so this brings us right back to the present day. We've gone over the signs that many people believe have already happened. But what about the ones that haven't? What are the last crucial dominoes that tradition says absolutely have to fall before the Mahdi finally appears?
Tradition points to three final major signs that people are still waiting for. First, a figure is supposed to emerge from Yemen, calling people to the truth. Second, a massive fire will appear in the east, one so huge it'll be visible for 3 nights straight. And finally, the most immediate sign, the tragic killing of a righteous person known as the Pure Soul, right inside the sacred Kaaba, just 15 days before the Mahdi's appearance.
So, after laying out this whole ancient roadmap of signs and conflicts and heroes and villains, we're left with one final, really provocative question. As believers connect these prophecies to what's happening today, from wars to our financial systems, it makes you wonder, if all of this prophecy is a clock, ticking down to a final hour, just how close is it to midnight?